What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fig Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And our special guest joining us today, one of my favorite professional wrestling artists out there, man, Mr. Hal Haney. What's going on, man?
Hey, not much, man. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good.
Doing well. Happy to have you here, man. I think a lot of members of the Tavern have some Hal Haney art hanging in the studios.
I think we all do, yeah.
I know I personally have the Lucha Brothers art. I think Colton has the Lucha Brothers art. You have the Taz art.
Yep.
Everybody's got Hal Haney art. We're all fans. If you guys are living under a rock,
yeah,
Hal, let everybody know where they can find you and what's been going on. Like, what's some of your pieces you're working on right now? Give us a tease.
Okay, well, you can find me at Hal Haney Art on Instagram and Twitter, or halhaneyart.com is my website. Well, what I'm working on today, hang on, let me just turn it around and show you. I'm currently working on the Tick Rogues Gallery, which I'm currently drawing, having lots of laughs and fun with. And I've got something I'm working on for Jake the Snake, for his podcast that it's like him fighting Muhammad Ali. The situation in Mid-South in '85.
That's awesome.
Like a comic cover of that. And then I'm doing a comic cover for somebody based on I don't know how into X-Men you guys are. You guys like
I grew up on it. Yeah.
Okay, well there's like this famous cover, I think it was X-Men 211, like Uncanny X-Men number 211 or 213. It's one of those, but it's Wolverine versus Sabretooth. And it's just like it's kind of like a close up where you can see like Sabretooth here, Wolverine here, and they're just like, scrapping real hard. So I'm doing something based on that that's going to be Brody and Abdullah the Butcher, which is going to be
oh wow,
awesome, dude.
So I get to do some gore, man. I like doing the gore stuff.
That's awesome. You did a piece. I don't know if it was commissioned. I can't even remember exactly what it entailed, but I'm pretty sure you did a piece on the Dangerous Alliance, which is my favorite faction of all time. And I love that.
That was one of those 7-panel deals where it was like all 7 of them in a row.
Yeah.
And what was super cool about that was I did that just because I love the Dangerous Alliance. I did it just kind of, it wasn't a commission at all. But when Bobby Eaton died, his daughter was kind enough to let me auction that off to help pay for his funeral costs and that stuff like that, because they had raised a little bit of money.
That's
but
awesome.
Then they cut it off, and I didn't have any money, but I had art that I could donate. So she was nice enough to let me do that, and the person that won it bought it for $605, which I thought it was really awesome.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
What a perfect
amount.
Yeah. That's it's when they bid $605, I was like, man, all right, I'm cutting it right here. Like, that's too good.
Yeah, that's perfect. 605 Saturdays, man.
Yep.
605 NWA, man. Love it. Well, man, we have 3 topics to debate. We'll go 10, 15 minutes per topic. Your topic that you submitted, we'll sandwich in the middle there. Only rule is we just don't take Tom too serious, man.
He looks like a very, very serious person. I'm starting to take him very seriously.
You'll find out by the end.
Okay.
If you guys are ready, though, we'll get right into it.
Go.
All right, let's go. First topic of the evening. does having no world title match hurt a pay-per-view or a premium live event? So if you don't have that world title match, does it affect that event?
Man, I love this question. I've been thinking about this question since I first saw it. What was it, yesterday or the day before? It just depends if you have a big enough match on the card to be a main event that could be a main event that you're really looking forward to. Like, I think it makes the title more special if it's actually not defended. If you have pay-per-views monthly, I don't think it needs to be on there monthly. If you were doing 4 like original AEW was, then yeah, like it would, and it always did have it on there. So I don't think you need it, but you better have a good match to put out there that people really want to see to get the hype.
Can I give you an example of why it's what you're just saying?
Sure.
Fucking Rock versus Hogan. Like
Yep.
Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania 02. The fucking, I think the title match was Triple H and Jericho, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Triple H and Jericho didn't carry that WrestleMania card. It was a good match, and I think, but you can't say it was the best match on the card or the one that everybody was looking forward to the most. Rock and Hogan drew the house.
That's true. And when you think of that event, that's the match you think about. You don't even.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget what the main event was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you, Tom. Like, I think it really depends. But with AEW just putting on Wrestle Dream, there was a lot of like criticism coming out. Well, they don't have their title on the line here, and I think they were making it seem like if you don't have that world title on the line, pay-per-view numbers are going to suffer. People aren't going to tune in. I don't really buy that. I don't think fans tune in to see a world title per se. I think they tune in for a culmination or a big piece in a good story that we've been told. And like with that event, they put the TNT title up there with Christian, and I thought it sufficed. I didn't think they needed MJF to defend that title there.
Right.
But I mean, I guess, there are circumstances where if the card's weak or there's nothing else to kind of put in that main event slot, then maybe you have a case that you should have put a world title on the line. But I feel like most of the time, if they're not putting that world title in the main event slot, it's for good reason. It's like a War Games match is headlining or something big is taking the place of that. So I don't think having no world title hurts as long as you're culminating a big story or a big match to replace that.
You have to back it with story. There has to be a story involved that makes you care about it, to give you that big match feel, because that's the key to a main event or having that title match on there is you have to have that main event feel. So if your story doesn't match, then maybe putting that title on the line is what you need to do. But
and that's what you're saying is exactly what Hal's talking about with Rock,
right,
and Hulk Hogan. Like, that story was such to a point where we wanted to see that. Everything else was kind of just like garnish, but that was the stake.
And usually
it's funny that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and usually your world title has the biggest story going into a pay-per-view or a premium live event. So that's why it's also the main event. But like, again, to go back to Rock Hogan, that was the match the world wanted to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that made perfect sense.
Well, as far as the Wrestle Dream thing goes, I think Tony Khan knew that he wasn't going to top Edge coming out at the end. Why not put that match on last,
Right.
And if MJF just defended against Adam Cole, what was the last? Has he defended it since?
Oh
yeah,
No.
At Arthur Ashe, Samoa Joe at Arthur Ashe.
Right.
Samoa Joe. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So like he's had defenses like in the last few weeks, and this is the third pay-per-view they were doing in the last 6 weeks or whatever it was, right? 5
Right.
weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think they needed it. And, MJF was on the card and everybody was happy to see him. And it furthered the story with Cole and everybody else. So, I think they did all right.
Yeah, and I think they're in a position with this Adam Cole MJF storyline. They're kind of in the same position as the Bloodline right now, where there's so many peripheral stories going on. You don't need that world title being defended every show because you have so many little side stories you can put on a pay-per-view. It doesn't have to be Roman defending that title all the time. It doesn't have to be MJF defending. They've got the ROH tag titles. If here's the thing, if they were only having him defend the world title, there would be fans out there bitching and complaining that the ROH tag titles are just kind of like an accessory and they're not being defended. So the fact that they're every event, it's like this event, he's going to defend the world title. The next event, him and Adam Cole are defending the ROH titles. They're trying to keep both belts relevant with defenses. So I think they're handling it okay.
And I'm with Al too. Like, how many pay-per-views has it been in the past? Like, what was that number? 3 or 4?
3 in like 5 weeks.
Yeah, they did Wembley and then Chicago, back-to-back weeks, and then 4 weeks later they did Wrestle Dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think you can build a compelling heavyweight championship storyline to make that. At that point, you're just throwing it on there to have the championship on there.
Right.
Yeah,
and everybody would have known. If you don't build up, everybody would have known MJF was going to win anyway.
Yeah, so there'd be no story to it.
If they would have had a little 2-week deal where Hangman Page went after the belt for a second, and everybody would know MJF was going to beat him.
Right.
Yeah. I want that big fight feel, man.
Yeah, the big fight feels what it's all about. And not to keep going back on Hal's example, but like that's what made Rock Hogan so special is it had that big fight. This is 2 of the biggest names ever in the business, almost like 2 eras colliding.
Yeah.
That was going to take precedent over Triple H Jericho. It just was.
Yep.
Not to mention how well the international title's been booked over the last year. It's been the best title in all of wrestling. After I crapped on it when they first announced it, it's just the best title there is. And then you go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was gonna say not only that too, but they've brought back there's a resurgence around the TNT championship.
I think the TNT title right now has arguably the best story in AEW.
Now, Tom, let me ask you something, Tom. Did you crap on it when it was the All Atlantic Championship, or did you crap on it after they changed it?
No, I crapped on it when it was first announced as the All Atlantic Championship. It was way before it became the international title. They were booking it great, so I had no issues with it. It's such a fun thing. Then you look over at the competition, and you have to come up with another world title because that guy just never wants to wrestle anymore.
Were you talking about Roman?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't. Yeah. Exactly. I don't dig that whole situation. They probably should have. Sammy probably should have been the one to beat him in Montreal.
It felt like it at the time. It felt like, man, now
I'm gonna point to that as like the DDP Goldberg Halloween Havoc thing.
Oh yeah.
Like Goldberg he'd only had the belt for 3 months. Like he beat Hogan in July of '98. He's wrestling Diamond Dallas Page in October '98, but everybody was already kind of over it. I mean, not everybody, but he was losing. He was losing steam.
Yeah.
And the only person in WCW that you could argue had a bigger '98 than Diamond Dallas Page is Goldberg, but it was tailing off. The first half of his '98 was great, and once he was champion, it was just more squash matches. And who's his first title defense? I think it was Hennig at Road Wild. Or
yeah, yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
and he had a couple other good ones. He had this Wolfpack Sting. That was an okay match until he had the whole schmoz ending and everything. But I think everybody was getting tired of seeing the 5-minute Goldberg match. And DDP was so fucking over.
He was hot, man.
And they had the perfect finish sitting right there. As a matter of fact, somebody on Instagram today posted that video of him reversing the jackhammer, hitting the diamond cutter. Everybody goes fucking ape shit. They should have ended it right there because they had the story where Goldberg fucking went through and speared the post.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He wouldn't have looked bad if he just lost right there. Everybody would have gone nuts. But they rode him for too long, and that's
Yeah.
and then you got the fucking. You had to get it off him with the fucking taser, and then do the finger poke and do.
Oh yeah, the taser. Were we
They
not
had
there for the
perfect
taser?
way. They had the perfect way to end it and still make him look good, and he could still, be right there in the main event with everybody.
We were at Sold Out when him and Scott Hall had the cattle prod match.
Yeah.
It wasn't the ladder. Was it the ladder match?
Yeah, the ladder match with a cattle prod hanging. Right. Yeah.
That's the only pay-per-view we ever got.
Yeah, in Charleston.
I was at the Georgia Dome for the Finger Poke of Doom.
No shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was there. It's January 4th, 99. I was there. It was cold as shit. I had nosebleeds. And I remember we used to, I don't know if you've ever been to Atlanta, but they have a subway system. It's not like New York or nothing, but it's MARTA. So we used to ride from my little town of Douglasville and drive over to the MARTA station and ride it in so you didn't have to pay for parking. So every time they were at the Dome, there's a MARTA stop at the Dome. So every time they were there, you could hear it on the train in, everybody being excited about this, that, and the other thing. So, I went when Goldberg beat Hogan. Excuse me. I went when Goldberg beat Hogan. And the train was, everybody was excited they were going, and then after the show, the train ride back, everybody was fucking pumped. Goldberg won. We got our fucking money's worth. And we went, and then everybody was pumped to see Goldberg and Nash, the rematch, which was what we were promised that night. And then they did the whole stupid angle where Goldberg got arrested and for stalking Liz.
Yeah,
if you remember.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then, so Goldberg got arrested. He wasn't in the building. So then they had Hogan come out and challenge Nash or whatever. And they did the finger poke at Doom. And then afterwards, Goldberg comes out. NWO Elite gets together, beats him down. Luger turns on him, all that shit. They handcuff him to the ropes, shock him with the cattle prod. And then at the end of the show, the fucking Super Bowl bound 98 Atlanta Falcons come out on the ramp.
On the ramp, yeah.
And then they come down to they cut the TV, it was over, and then the Falcons come down to the ramp, and everybody was like, okay, yeah, way to go, Falcons. Just don't do anything stupid, go win the Super Bowl. But then the train ride back, everybody was just like,
Oh yeah.
And then the next summer, when they came, July 99, the train ride over was, and then the train ride back was, And that's how I knew what WCW is doing. I'm off on a tangent now. If anybody wants to stop me.
No, I love it, man. I love the firsthand accounts of these iconic moments. But
it sounds like the MARTA system really knew what direction WCW was heading.
You were getting the temperature of WCW by this subway ride.
It was the peak of the Nitro Attitude Era, man. That's.
Oh yeah.
So everybody was talking about it, and then everybody the next day at school was talking about it, and on the bus and everything else like that. And then they talk about it less and less.
Oh yeah. Do you guys think that Roman isn't? We'll move on to topic number 2. But do you think Roman? Do you think we heard when Cody didn't win? First Sami Zayn didn't win, then Cody didn't win. And we kept hearing Triple H in these press conferences say, this isn't what'd they say? This is the third inning. And, it doesn't end here. The story's continuing. Do you buy that? Do you think it's going to come back around and get hot again and we're going to be into it? Or do you think they've kind of dropped the ball on this?
Dude, it feels like it's fizzled out to me right now. It's just like, how do you pick it back up? I mean, I think they could have told the same story they did over the last few months, even if he lost to Cody. It could have been the bloodline feuding within themselves.
I feel like the story they've told, the story they've told since Cody got beat, there's no reason those titles should be involved in that story. No, they hold no weight in the story being told in the bloodline.
And the other question we could ask is, does not defending that title hurt the title? Has Roman actually hurt the WWE?
I think it puts an asterisk. It puts an asterisk beside his title reign. Like he's racking up the all these days But like, what's it mean if you're not defending it?
Especially with the addition of the other title, man. I feel like if
it damn sure hurts the other title.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that was the third inning, I feel like we're on a rain delay right now.
But you see what Cody in one of his promos last week said, we're not in the third inning anymore. So he called them right out on it.
Well, fuck are we?
It feels like we're in overtime right now to me. They're dragging it out, and we're wanting somebody to drive a single in.
Inning. Everybody's just drunk and they want to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it's even worse. They're starting to sober up now.
That's what it feels like.
It's 1-1 in the 18th.
Honestly, like the last thing I'll say is if you have Roman versus The Rock at Mania next year, that title does not need to be defended. That match will be big enough on its own without a title being involved.
That's where the story comes in, man.
But the only thing I think they put themselves in a corner.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think that match needs the title, but I think they've painted themselves in a corner where the only place Roman can lose that title is Mania. I don't care if I think if he loses at the Rumble or SummerSlam, I still don't feel like that. The story they've told to me, it has to, this title change, this kind of exchange of power from like this long reigning 3-4 year champion giving it to a new guy, that has to happen on the grandest stage. You can't just blow that off at the Royal Rumble so you can bring in The Rock in a non-title match. It doesn't feel right.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts on this question before we move on?
No.
All right.
I'm having flashbacks of 98, 99 WCW right now.
Yeah.
You and me both, man.
All right, guys. Second topic of the evening. Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling mullets. Who is on your Mount Rushmore? And Hal, this is the question that you brought, so I'll defer to you to go first.
Okay, yeah, I did this on my social media a couple weeks ago, and obviously there's a million answers.
Yeah.
And really they're all valid. But my big four, you got two of them on there. I got Ricky Morton, number 1. I got beautiful Bobby Eaton, number 2. Number 3, I got Mike Awesome.
Good pick.
And number 4 is the other one you got on there, Brian Knobbs.
Yes.
And the reason I went with Brian Knobbs, and he's kind of like an underappreciated mullet, is because he held on to that mullet he was on cable TV every week. He was on either WCW Saturday Night or Thunder or something all the way up until WCW closed, pretty much. Like, he was there with that mullet, and he finally cut it in like 2000. when they put him with Fit Finley, the dog.
Yep.
If you remember the dog, like right before Russo and Bischoff came in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they finally cut his fucking hair in like 2000, but he was like an anachronism. You know, like it was perfect. He looked like he wasn't supposed to be on that show in that decade at all. So the balls on that guy.
Look at that thing though, man. If you're just listening, go and watch, man. Like, we have the Brian Knobbs mullet up there.
Oh, I tried to find, there's some pictures out there. His mullet is extremely impressive because he went full skin on the sides, dude.
Yep.
Like he went, there was no like using a 2 guard. He went straight skin, and he had the long blonde mullet in the back. I love your list. Your list is pretty similar to mine, especially at the top. My number 1 with a bullet. I didn't put both of them on there. I picked one or the other to kind of represent that era, but number 1 for me, Bobby Eaton all the way. Yeah. It was between him or Ricky Morton for that era, but Bobby Eaton, love Bobby Eaton. So I got Bobby Eaton, I got Shawn Michaels, I got Eddie Guerrero from 96, 97 WCW. Eddie Guerrero. That's when his mullet was in prime time. And I also have 91, 92 Flying Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
He had the curly.
That's a great one.
Yeah, he had the perm, the curly perm mullet. I gotta say, our other debate host, who sometimes fills in whenever any of us don't make the show, Colton. You can see him at mullet.mania. He has a mullet, so that he had to send in his Mount Rushmore, and his Mount Rushmore is Magnum TA, Razor Ramon, Jimmy Hart, and Jake the Snake Roberts. So
that's great.
It's a good list.
None of these answers can possibly be wrong.
Even as a kid, I loved Magnum TA's mullet. Like when you see him in the magazines, he'd have the pictures of him by the motorcycle all the time with the hair. It was so good. He had one of the best.
The mustache killed it. It was like, yeah. He was like Tom Selleck, Hawaii 5-0 or some shit.
100%. Man, he'd like Cash Wheeler for the modern day mullet. That's like a throwback mullet. Like I love Cash's mullet.
Yeah, he's got a very understated mullet too.
If you want to talk about modern day mullets, which I didn't put him on my list, but if we're talking modern day, Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah, following in the footsteps.
Yeah,
that's a great one too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, you want to do your list, or you want me to go?
You go.
Okay. I didn't have mine in any particular order. So I have Beautiful Bobby. I have
He's almost unanimous, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's when I think of it, especially like late 80s, like 87, 88, 89. Oh,
yep. I have Mr. Perfect.
That's I didn't even think of Perfect.
Just because it was, perfect.
Yeah.
It's the perfect mullet.
Yeah. I have early 90s WCW Brad Armstrong.
Damn, deep cut. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was just curly. And it had such a great
Brad Armstrong's mullet was rocking. Dude, early 90s WCW, late 80s WCW was the land of the mullet.
Yeah.
So let's be real honest here.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how Brad Armstrong got all that mullet power underneath the Arachnaman mask.
Yeah.
Same with Pillman and the yellow dog.
Yellow dog, man.
Yeah.
And then Ricky Morton to round it out on my 4.
Ricky's is so classic.
Yeah.
Ricky's on my list too.
He still has a beautiful mullet.
Yeah, he's still rocking it today.
Yep. And I did do something that I was thinking about, like I was thinking about early 90s professional wrestling, and I kind of came up with like what a Last Supper type photo, like when I think about that, and the barber shop with the Rockers and Brutus Beefcake, like just them standing there.
That's three iconic mullets.
And just and I just think that it's
Sean in that era, like if we're talking barbershop when he kicked him, threw him through the window, that is like that could be argued as one of the greatest mullets of all time.
And Brutus is rocking right there too, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but Marty Jannetty. I mean,
yep.
It's hard to go wrong with any of them, really. I mean, any of them could have been a roadie for fucking Poison.
Marty might have. Who knows?
I think Marty was.
Yeah.
Who you got, Tom?
That was when Marty was fired the first of 6 times. I think he went,
right.
He went on tour with fucking Motley Crue.
I go Ricky Morton, Magnum TA. Tatanka. Look at that mullet. It's an achy breaky heart mullet perfectly.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. And Shawn Michaels. Like you said, Shawn Michaels was classic with that hair back in the day.
Yeah. All these are great answers.
Eddie, something about that. Like fans that grew up with Eddie when he jumped ship and came to WWE.
Yeah.
I feel like they have a totally different idea of what Eddie Guerrero was.
Yeah.
Rather than the fans who were there in 96 seeing him do his WCW stuff, because 96, 97 Eddie Guerrero, when he had that white singlet with the red, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Before he went just to pants, like that was another level. And what an iconic mullet too. Like that's my favorite era Eddie. I think he did more entertaining as far as like character work, later on in WWE, but just bell to bell, 96, 97 Eddie was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, that's before he got into was it a car wreck?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was late 98, early 99 when we got in the car wreck.
Yeah.
So before he hurt himself, like, I think he had probably his maybe 5 best matches. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone always throws to obviously the Rey Mysterio Halloween Havoc match, which is arguably one of the best matches of all time. But he was putting on, dude, go back and watch just the nitros, because you can turn on a random nitro and see him mixing it up with Juventud Guerrera or Dean Malenko or Psychosis. And they were putting on, I feel like that whole cruiserweight, we talk about it all the time on here, but that whole cruiserweight division was so ahead of the time. Like the stuff they were doing now is kind of like just what we're used to. But at the time, it was such groundbreaking wrestling on TV.
Yep.
I will say one of the hardest things for me to do, if you look at my list here, was to cross out Mike Awesome.
Yeah.
Because I had him on
Wait
there.
a minute. So you and me had 3 similar choices, right?
Yes.
Everybody forgets about Mike Awesome.
And then you crossed one out.
I crossed out Mike Awesome to put Mr. Perfect on, and then
but you can't say that's wrong.
yeah.
He might, I mean, you could argue he's got the greatest big man mullet.
Oh, for sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Animal from Legion of Doom.
Animal, yeah.
He had that. One. He had that to the skin on the side, like Knobs did. Yep.
It was almost like a mullet hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many good ones. Like growing up in West Virginia and going to those early 90s WCW house shows.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like you're seeing the best of the best.
When they have those Fox Kids Expo.
Yep.
Where you can meet the wrestlers.
Yep. Man.
Did you ever go see WCW when it was in Bluefield?
I did once. One time
I never went. That's what, about an hour and a half drive from us?
Yeah.
Do you know Steve Austin's Bluefield, West Virginia story?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, he actually told me this on the phone one time. Sorry to biggin my britches at you, but he told me this story. He told me because I told him that me and my wife and my kid had lived in Fancy Gap, Virginia, which is on 77.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kind of near Hillsville and Galax and all that. So
nice area.
It's in the middle of night. It's beautiful. But
Beautiful.
There's nothing there. It's a 15-minute drive to get to a Dollar General. And it was, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was in the middle of nowhere. So I told him about that, and I told him that my father-in-law had a little hunting cabin up in Bluefield, and he said, "Oh, Bluefield, let me tell you about Bluefield. We used to stay at the Holiday Inn in Bluefield, and one night I was DDP had to pull my face out of the damn urinal because I'd passed out drunk and my face in the pisser at the Holiday Inn in Bluefield, West Virginia, and he carried me out and carried my ass up to my room." And I was like, shit, okay. So Steve Austin remembers Bluefield.
That's awesome. Back in the Stunning Steve days, man. Love those days.
Back when he used to have a mullet.
Yeah.
When he could grow one, he damn sure had one.
Whenever WCW was close, my dad was on it, man. Dad was he still is a huge Arn Anderson fan. So anytime we had a chance, I remember watching WCW at I want to say it was Nitro High School, or they were in a gym. They did a show in a gym, and Arn Anderson was there. I know Dad was pumped.
He's like the only guy that didn't have a fucking mullet.
Yeah, and has looked the exact same ever since he's been in business. Yep. Man, what a fun topic. Does anybody have anything to add to the mullet list?
I feel like it's no list is a wrong list here. There's so many great mullets over the course of wrestling history. You throw a dart and you'll hit a mullet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at like back here on the. There's like all the figures back here.
Oh yeah,
Well, I mean,
Half of them have mullets.
yeah.
as I tell people, if you're going to be a wrestling artist, you have to love and embrace the mullet. You have to study the mullet, properties of the mullet. You know, the shape, the texture, the sculpture, and every mullet's different.
Yeah.
And every one of those guys that had a mullet, they have, you know, little nuances to their particular mullet.
Yeah, I mean, look at a Ricky Morton mullet compared to a Magnum TA mullet compared to a Flying Brian Pillman mullet, drastically different.
I'd like to have a big pick, like with all of them with their faces off of it, but just the mullet to see if you can pick out who it is.
That would be a cool piece. How?
Yeah. No. This, you know, that's a job for Photoshop. Somebody's got to get in there and just and just get the hair off of the wrestler, and then you just have to guess the fucking mullet. Like, you should seriously have your guy do that.
There we go. It's a new contest coming.
Yeah.
Guess the mullet. All right, guys. Well, with that, we'll move on to the final topic of the evening. What is the bigger deal, Cody to WWE or Edge to AEW?
Wow. You mind if I lead off?
Yeah, jump in, man.
Yep.
I thought about this one, and it's kind of a two-part answer. I think they're both huge, but for entirely different reasons. I think Cody is bigger money-wise. You know, like he's the bigger, like he'll make more money for WWE than Edge will for AEW.
Right.
So I think Cody, money-wise, big splash-wise, you know, that sort of shit, since it happened at WrestleMania, you know, all that stuff. And he was going right for the title. Well, I mean, he was with Seth first, but then, you know, so he's had a good year and a half or whatever that he's been there on top. And Edge, I think, is probably bigger for the culture. I think for the locker room, especially after all the shit with Punk, you know. I think Edge going to AEW and having that kind of a veteran there after Punk, you know, got fired, like so soon after he got fired, I think that's a very good way to level things out again, you know.
Yeah.
I couldn't. You stole my takes almost to a T. I completely agree. I think both of them are big and important for their individual companies for sure. I mean, if you're talking dollars and cents, if you're talking about eyeballs watching it and all of that, I think 100% Cody was bigger. More eyes on him, more money was made. But Edge is bigger for the company.
Yeah,
that's my big difference. Is I think Edge coming to AEW is better for AEW than Cody coming to WWE. I think WWE could have been rolling on doing their own thing, and if Cody never came over, it never would have changed a thing.
Yep.
I think it definitely brought them another top guy. It added some excitement and everything, but I feel like if you pluck Cody out of there, it wouldn't change a whole lot for me. I feel like it would be a lot of the same thing. I think Edge coming in, like you said, they needed that, man. They need a positive force in that locker room. I think this is something that everyone's going to rally behind. All you hear about Edge is he's just the greatest guy. Yeah. He lifts everyone up. Coming out of the year that they had with Punk and all of the heat with the Elite and all of this stuff.
I got nothing against Punk. You know,
I love Punk,
and I don't believe for a second that 100% of all that shit is his fault.
No,
but like at the same time, like the culture around their locker room, the discussion, the discourse about their locker room and how they manage their company and all that other shit, you can sort of pivot the fuck away from it now, public relations wise. Now that you got this guy coming in, that, you know, he's just as able to help the young guys as Punk ever was, and he's more of a he seems like he's more of an approachable, likable. He's a fucking baby. Punk's a heel. Edge is a baby face.
Right.
That's just how it is. Punk's a natural heel, and he might be the nicest fucking guy in the world. I got nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I with my answer, I mean, I think AEW needs Edge. WWE does not need Cody. So I think that's why, I think Edge is the bigger deal for that reason. Jed, I agree with what you said. If they take Cody out of that, the machine keeps rolling.
And to be honest, man, this isn't hating on Cody. I like Cody.
Yeah.
I think he fits. I liked, I was a supporter of him when he was in AEW, but it made sense when he left. Like, he fits that model. But
it's a big deal for him.
And it's not me singling out Cody, because I truly think WWE they are built now where they don't need anyone. I don't think they even need Roman.
Yeah.
If they lost Roman, they would build another guy and put them in that spot. And I think we're closer to losing Roman than a lot of fans think. I don't think we're getting another 5 to 10 years out of the guy. Like full time. I just don't see it. So
I'd be surprised if you get 2 more. I mean, I think he's going to lose the belt, and then he's probably just going to be he's going to be The Rock. He's going to be part-time.
Yep.
He'll show up once every 3 or 4 years in his 40s, and then once he's in his 50s, he might show up once every 10 years. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, realistically, we don't have him full-time now.
But I think Edge,
we haven't 100%.
With the young company, though, you need, to me, AEW need the guys they have that they're putting in those top spots. They're so young and still kind of on fragile ground that it would hurt them. I think it hurt them to lose Cody. When they lost Cody, with Cody leaving and then the Punk drama happening shortly thereafter, that weighed on them heavy, I feel like.
And
I mean, honestly, I think Cody leaving was kind of like the catalyst for all the drama. It's almost almost like Cody was keeping everybody at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
I mean, and if it's all fucking 100% shoot and everything else, and everybody really hates each other, and those photos of the Bucks and Punk 1 week before it happened, posing together and smiling, if everybody really fucking hates each other, and they always did, or whatever, then I think Cody leaving made it so that it was just unworkable or something.
Right.
I guess there was no fucking negotiator. I don't know.
Right.
The way I look at it is Edge is probably, if you had to make a top 10 list of the top 10 wrestlers since the year 2000, I think Edge is on that list. So for AEW to get him, that's huge. For him to say there was nothing left for him to do in WWE and they had nothing for him, how is that even possible with a guy like Edge? And all these fans are mad at him. Get the hell out of here. Shut up. This guy he's got something left in him. He had all those years off. His body is good to go. We deserve to see what he can do in AEW. The wrestle is there. So many opportunities to see new matches with these young kids working with a guy like that. I think Edge to AEW is definitely bigger. I thought Cody to WWE was huge, but you have a veteran, a guy like Edge coming to your young company. How do you beat that? How do you top that? You can't.
Well, the biggest thing with Cody coming to WWE, I feel like that we haven't even mentioned, was when that happened. That was the first shot across the bow of WWE stealing a talent. Obviously, Cody had been there before. He was a WWE guy before, but he was the face of AEW. And I think them stealing him and bringing him in and allowing him to be that American Nightmare character, allowing him to have that music, pretty much the character that he built in All Elite Wrestling, they allowed him to bring to WWE. And that was like a strategic move, in my opinion, of WWE being like, hey, when you come over here, we will respect you. If you're a wrestler and you're big and we want you and we bring you over here, we're not going to bury you like we did the WCW guys. We're going to use you right. So that was a strategic business move. But Tom, to build off of what you said, man, I think there's an argument to be made. You got to take Jericho off the table because he was with AEW from day one. But I think there's an argument to be made that Edge coming over is the biggest signing they've ever had from just accolades and impact on the business standpoint. Moxley was huge. Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson was huge, but as far as just what they did in WWE, you're talking about a multiple-time Royal Rumble winner, a Money in the Bank winner, a world champion in every belt in WWE. Guy did it all. The table, ladders, chairs matches. I feel like he's the biggest.
He's in their Hall of Fame too.
Yeah.
I
think Edge is a Hall of Famer, right?
He went in right after the injury.
So, I mean, he's the biggest name I think they've ever signed to wrestle.
I mean, Danielson's kind of close. That guy was awesome too.
Yeah.
It's a toss up between those two. How could you go wrong with Danielson or?
I'm talking more in the public eye, though. I mean, if you're talking Danielson, ROH, and all that, I get. But I'm talking about just the casual wrestling fan. Like, I feel like Edge is unmatched. Punk. I don't feel like Punk even holds a candle to what Edge has done. I feel like Danielson and Punk are both big stars, but Edge has been a big star since like 96, 97, man.
True.
He's done a lot of shit.
That's true. And then, you look at the Cody signing and what they did with him, and you say, oh, AEW wrestlers are going to see how they treated him. Now, Jade, we haven't actually seen her debut yet, but the way they've treated her so far and built her up,
knocking out of the park.
Like it's great. She's coming in as Jade again, so she's keeping her name. She's keeping. I love that. Like, to me, this might open other eyes for other wrestlers in AEW. Like, okay, that was Cody, but now they did it with Jade.
I'll say this though. Not every wrestler is Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill.
That is very true.
Like, there will be, just like wrestlers coming to AEW that don't end up panning out the way we think. Wrestlers need to also think, like, not everyone is going to get that main event, top of the card treatment that WWE brings over. Like, and I'm thinking of Ricky Starks. I know there's all these rumors over there. I love Ricky Starks. I think he's a main event guy in AEW. But I honestly cannot see him being a main event guy in WWE the way they build their guys. I just can't see that.
I can't either.
And I just half wonder now that AEW's actually pushed Ricky Starks, that might change his mind from wanting to jump ship.
We'll see.
Even if he wanted to. I mean, we know Cody had him there with him. Was it during a Royal Rumble last year, or Mania, whatever, which one he was at? I think Starks might be rethinking it.
Yeah, but I think people put a lot more into that than what it actually was.
I do too. I think he was just visiting his buddy. I don't think it was.
I don't think it was a job interview.
I just look at people like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. You look at those guys who in AEW, they're main event guys. You mean to tell me like a Kevin Owens, a Sami Zayn, a Drew McIntyre, those guys where they're at right now in the company, and you're going to bring in Ricky Starks and he's going to be mixing it up with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes? I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Nope.
But now AEW has Edge there to talk to those guys to let them know what it's going to be like, and hearing Edge on the scrum talking about, he's an open book, and
that's what I'm most excited about.
And talent can come to him at any time and talk to him. And he was talking about how for an hour a day, he ran a promo class for 7 wrestlers every day to help him get better. And he said he just loves that shit. So,
well, he went and shot the vignette with Darby out in Seattle, just driving around, and he's been used to like all of that stuff being produced and prepackaged and micromanaged, and he just shows up and it's already done for him, and he doesn't have a lot of say in it as much as he would like to. And now he's holding the camera guy in the back of an SUV shooting a hot rod at midnight in Seattle. You got to think the guy's just like having the time of his life right now, and that gets me excited as a fan to see a wrestler excited.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. Like, it's he's working with his friends now. He gets to go hang out with friends and young guys. This is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Like I said, wrestling is so much better when you have people jumping between promotions.
I love it.
He's an Asheville guy too, though, right?
Yeah, Edge is Asheville.
Yeah, Edge lives here in town. Yeah, so hopefully I want to do some art for them again. I've got something else that I want to do for Dax, but I'm sure he'll pass my info along to Edge, and then maybe I can do something for Edge. We'll see. Yeah.
There was a cool video of Adam Copeland leaving after he did his moment at Wrestle Dream, and FTR was standing on the wing of the stage, and they were just marking out, and he came and they were giving him a big hug, because I'm pretty sure when he made his comeback at the Rumble, Dax and Cash were the guys that kind of got him ring ready.
Yeah.
So
they're tight. That's right. Yeah, that was here in Asheville too.
That's awesome.
They rented out a little warehouse or something, or some local promotion had a ring, and they just went and they got him ring ready for the Rumble. You know,
that's great.
How fucking cool is that? That's so
It makes
awesome.
you think, going back and listening to Dax's podcast, and he's talking about working with Edge again, how much they really knew back then.
Oh, yeah.
It's a real possibility that we'll be working.
Well, he said it was a realer possibility than what people thought of them having a match against Edge and Christian. And as soon as he said that, I was like, he knows something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts on Edge before we move on? We have a round robin.
We got one last little question. Quickie.
All right. Cool. Let's move on. We'll do the round robin.
Round robin.
Buy or sell. Adam Copeland wins gold in AEW.
And this is just a quick, what do you guys think? Yes, no? I think he holds a title.
I buy it.
I say
Oh yeah,
sell.
I'll buy. I think he and Christian might swap that TNT title back and forth.
I think so too.
Yep.
I don't know if he'll hold Big Platinum. I don't know if he's going to get that one, but I think that TNT title he's going to hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you just brought me in on that. Okay, I'll buy. I was gonna say sell. He doesn't need it, but you just convinced me.
He doesn't need it. I mean, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think he needs it.
But here's my thing, and I thought this when Punk came in and they gave the world title to Punk, and Punk didn't need it either. But when you're Tony Khan and you're building a company's legacy, and when you look down the lineage of that world title 10, 15 years from now, and you can say CM Punk held that, and maybe Adam Copeland held that, it's cool to build a very reputable, prestigious title history. So anything's on the table.
The title needs him more than he needs the title. That's for
Yep,
sure.
100%.
Especially the TNT one, because that one's been through the trash a few times.
Been through hell. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been muddied up. Hal, it has been awesome having you on. We've had a blast having you on here, man. Let everybody know where they can find you.
At Hal Haney Art on Instagram and Twitter, and on my website at halhaneyart.com.
Guys, go check it out. Buy some prints. Buy it all up, man. One of my favorite wrestling artists.
Absolutely.
We've been wanting to reach out and get you on. We're all big fans of your stuff. Everybody at the Tavern loves Hal Haney. So having you on, Hal, was a treat.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me on, man. Anytime.
Awesome.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are heading over to theturnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Tom, go ahead, buddy. Get your shit in.
DOG Fig Kid on Twitter and Instagram, and Fig Night every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Me and Mike Belcaster.
All right. With all that being said, court is dismissed.